Go. All right, guys, welcome back to Off the Script Podcast, episode 3. How's the lighting for me, actually? Is this a bit much?
Pretty good, man. You're looking all right.
Across? I feel like that light's a bit much.
That's better.
Okay. We've got the posters in the background. Right, okay then. So, unfortunately this evening, it's just me and myself. Me and myself. Yeah, good, Jermaine. Well done. And Joseph Flynn. How
Hey, everybody.
You good?
Yeah, man. You?
Yeah, not so bad. What you've just started really getting back into training now. How's it been?
Good. 3 weeks back now.
Yeah.
First time in 5 months that I've been on plan.
Oh, excellent.
So that's good.
Yeah, I've noticed, like, when you sent over some shots over the past month or two, you have started making some big differences. I think it's probably the best your back personally has looked as well.
It's weird, isn't it?
Which is, you've got a bit of muffin top as well, which is always appreciated. Like, that's off season, isn't it? Actually, that's quite a good topic. Do you want to snowball into that?
Sure. Straight away. Just
Off
get in.
Season, like holding conditioning off season.
Yeah.
Like how far you're pushing and how much is too much.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
You start first. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, for me, so I think it depends where you're at, age-wise, training-wise, how long you've been training / competing and whatnot. Because for me, I've always been under the impression if you are in your teens or early 20s and still in those, say, 5-6 years of starting and you haven't competed yet,
I
think 1 or 2 big push-ups are beneficial.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And get a bit fat. It's not good. You're not a magazine model cover.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's granted from my personal place of what I've done so far on this journey that is bodybuilding. I've only just competed this past year.
Yeah.
It was my first season, and I started off probably a bit too fluffy. But when you bear in mind, I've been technically in off season since I was 16 years old. I've just been trying to increase my lifts, try and gain muscle since then. Granted, I've had drawbacks and stuff. Obviously, 2018, my ankle dislocation. I didn't train for months, lost a lot of size, lost a lot of body fat, which was helpful. But then, obviously, at that point, I just needed a big push-up. So I think in terms of body fat in the off-season, obviously there's a point where you get diminishing returns. I'm not there yet. I feel very content with how much I weigh. And I don't personally give a fuck how I look. Anyway, the goal is in sight. So if people say to me, "You're looking a bit too fat," I'll probably be like, if they're Phil Heath, or I don't know, or like a coach or someone, or like someone I actually think has caliber and has say, in what I'm doing, my coach, for example.
Yeah.
Then I might dial it back. But at the moment, strength's flying, progression's flying, I'm growing. Why would I sacrifice that by wanting to be lean year round? Like a lot of people as well, like Gen Pop people who I speak to, they're like, "Oh, show us your abs now," assuming that I have abs now. I'm 5 months post show. 5-6 months post show, and look at progression. Of course, I'm not going to be show lean or close to it now. Why would I? What's the point?
No.
Yeah, no. I think that's quite
even
topic.
Yeah, especially because neither of us have reached a maintenance threshold for competing weight, because the whole point is still bigger in it as well.
Exactly. Granted, obviously now that I've competed, what's really nice is that I have benchmarks in terms of what I look at certain weights from my prep. So me at let's say 95 kg or 90 to 95 kg then versus now time-ish, that's completely different. I look so much fuller, bigger. Obviously, I was dieting, so I'm not going to be as full, but there's just a lot more going on, and you can tell, and it shows in my physique. that there's a lot more lean mass at the weight I'm holding, and I'm a lot leaner at the weight I am now than I was last time I was that weight. So it's nice when you've competed to have that benchmark, and you can then tell when to dial it back and when to.
Yeah, I agree.
More.
Because recently, like the last couple of podcasts I've been listening to, everyone's talking about pushing up and then coming back down and pushing up and coming back down. And to me, unless you're going to 100% compete consistently across one season or 2 seasons, it's not worth the stress. It's not worth the push up, because if you're in a negative fucking energy balance, so you're not in a surplus, going backwards and forwards is going to fuck more things up than fix more things.
Yeah, just try and grow for as long as possible. Yeah. Like, I'm still progressing now, obviously. I don't plan on stopping. I don't plan on my progression slowing at any point. However, if I did enter a prolonged cutting phase because I pushed up way too much, let's say I got to the point I was at the start of last prep, where I was just too fluffy. Granted, I do have quite a nice ability to like push through it, and I'm fine for like the first 12 weeks of dieting pretty much. I don't even notice I'm dieting. I just get leaner and bigger, and that's it. That's quite nice. But and that's a negative energy balance, but that's because I have so ridiculous amount of body fat that I'm holding anyway. So
stored energy.
Yeah, and ideally, like in terms of big push-up, I'm fine with a big push-up, but as long as there's a reason for it, I think that's the biggest thing. And the reason for it. Don't just push up for the sake of pushing up if you're not going to compete. Like, why would you do that? You know?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on it.
Me too. That makes 4 cents.
Yeah, awesome. So, do you want to dive into topics?
Sounds good to me, man.
Awesome. So, let's look at some topics that we got today from viewers.
Let's start off with some nutrition talk.
Yeah, so let's run with the protein per gram per meal thing.
Okay.
So, I'm of the general opinion that obviously the average daily intake recommendation or whatever for the government is drastically too low.
Yeah, it's maintenance. It's survival amounts.
It's survival amounts. Yeah, like so when you look at Gen Pop levels of anything, it tends to be the minimum acceptable dose of anything. And it's very baseline in terms of what the activities are and everything else. So I think it's vastly too low for growing, maintaining, or like holding on to tissue, whatever phase you're in. My protein intake is the same as it was at the start of my last cutting phase.
Okay.
I'm at the start of my last prep. It's at 250 grams. So that's quite a lot of protein. Granted, I'm quite a large guy, quite a large individual. Not like I'm not like a fucking pro size or anything like that. But like, I still hold on to a good amount of tissue, and I'm not the shortest of guys either. So it makes sense for me to have that amount. And when we look at really breaking down the nice reasons why you should have a certain amount of protein per meal, like you can absorb, I can't even remember what the rate is now. I think it's like 40 to 50 grams is like an ideal amount per meal, or per like couple of hours or whatever. And that'll give you like a nice MPS spike, muscle protein synthesis spike. There's been a couple of studies and stuff that I've looked at more recently, and like because of my course I do at university as well, where you look at bolus of food versus like very sparing amounts of like protein versus like medium sized like protein. So if you have a bolus, let's say you have, I don't know, 80 grams plus of protein 3 times a day or whatever to hit your protein or whatever, or get the protein in, that's not going to go down well in your body. Basically, your stomach's not going to like it. It's probably not going to be ideal for training either. It's just on the whole, like we want to try and have enough small spikes of MPS and stuff throughout the day. We don't want to have like 3 giant ones and indigestion. And by the same token, we don't want to have like 10 grams of meh protein, like however many times a day. It doesn't make sense. And it doesn't provide it like as good a protein spike as having that like medium amount. So that's sort of my 2 cents on grams of protein per meal. We don't want an obscene amount per meal. We don't want a super low amount. It's like what is it? What's the fucking I'm trying to think of it now. Not too hot, not too cold, but just right. That's what you want. Not too much, not too little, but just right. That's what we want with protein. What are your thoughts? Well,
so you're 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Fairly lean.
Yeah.
I'd say aim for 250 gram of protein.
Makes sense. Go over. I like the idea of being over a gram of protein.
Yeah. I don't think you can argue with the evidence that it's worked for athletes and people for 60, 70 years.
Literally, like, this is obviously another thing, snowballing here, where like every single year, year after year, decade after decade, people trying to reinvent the wheel. At the end of the day, what do you need to grow? Whole food, lots of it, plenty of protein to support that.
Essential
thing, and progressing that every week, if possible. Like that's it. That at the end of the day, and that goes for all sports. It's just progressive overload. So, like, if you're doing, let's say, swimming, you're trying to shave off like seconds off your swimming score. If you're doing Olympic weightlifting, you're trying to increase your total or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, it comes down to progressive overload and eating enough to support that. I think that makes sense.
Yep.
Cool. Next one that we've got to look at. What's a nice one that we've got? Best and worst about fitness industry. That's a nice one. Ooh. If you were who sent that in, what's your like biggest peeve?
For me?
Yeah.
Just nonsense workout routines by notorious people.
Yeah, we have a group chat for the podcast. Some of the crap that gets posted in it is so funny. Just like, it's just nonsense routines, and it's usually from people who sadly don't know any better. Famous because they just look good naturally, and they've and angles and camera and good lighting or whatever. Like half of it isn't really anyway. It's not like real. Tim's replied in the group chat. We might have Tim coming soon. What's he saying? Literally on the way back from the library now, boys. Sorry, my dissertation meeting overrun. Oh, bloody hell. Tim, when you listen back to this, mate, and hopefully you get here in time to check in with us, I will fight your dissertation officer. We're trying to be professional here.
Yeah, bastards.
Oh, well, at least he's replied. Yeah, don't
strike 3 and you're out.
Still get on board. Yeah, okay. So we'll just make sure that the chat is there as well, so we can see that as well. Join when you're back. God. Usually we're so put together. What is going on?
Yeah.
He's going to hate the spam messages and calls I gave him before this.
Oh, well.
Yeah, where were we? Biggest pet peeves? Yeah, so we just roast people in the group chat sometimes on
pretty much
horrific exercises and exercises that put people they're not just exercises in futility.
No.
Like they're not just pointless exercises. I mean, most exercises aren't pointless, but when you're doing just banded work for the entire workout, that's not like under load, and there's no real reason for it. That isn't great. Whereas, for example, like use bands or whatever when we let's say we do reverse banded hack squat, or we band up a leg press because we can't fit any more plates on it, so you've got to overload it somehow.
Yeah, I think in order for me, the mentality. Luckily, touch wood, I don't have any joint issues as of recording.
Yeah.
So for me, putting bands on a leg press is not necessary because I haven't maxed out the leg press yet.
I think
probably a caveman-like way of thinking about it, but
yeah, no, it makes sense though. Like if the whole goal is to overload it, that makes sense. However, there are other things I think that come into play sometimes with banding. So like one of the things is like for some leg presses, for example, like the ISO lever ultimate, great piece of kit. I love that leg press. It's one of the best leg presses I ever used. I just wish it had more space to put plates on, because like obviously I maxed out the space for plates on it.
Yeah.
But also like from about 8 plates aside onwards, when I was progressing it, I had it banded because there was, for whatever reason, there was a lot of inertia with it. So you could feel it shaking and wobbling in the frame because it's quite a long lever.
Yeah.
So it made sense for me at that point, I think, to band it just to control the weight. Because otherwise I was like, Jesus, if I throw this up too quick on a rep, it's just going to snap the lever.
Yeah.
Whereas
me, I don't use that leg press, so that style of leg press, just because I don't find it as comfortable as the traditional 45-degree leg press.
Yeah, I have since now switched to the sled style leg press, which I'm progressing and feels great, to be honest.
Yeah, I enjoy a good old leg press.
Definitely go pop some blood vessels on that soon.
I've done it.
I'm debating when to progress my 500 kg. I ate last time. And I'm now at a point where I'm like, I could probably stick with this weight, just make it tidier and tidier and get deeper and deeper and better. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm happy with doing the flat, like sticking with it, even for like a month, just to try and really nail it. Because leg press is something for me, for whatever reason, I just have the ability to throw more and more weight on every time.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, so like it's just one of those exercises where I'm like, oh, another session, new rotation. Every time I add like a plate aside on it, I match reps. So every single time I just increase it. So I feel like I need to work on just executing it better, making it harder.
Make it harder. Yeah, rather than force it.
Yeah, so that's something I think I'm going to do for a while. At least.
What's your pet peeve anyway?
Oh yeah, this is what we do on off the script. We just chat shit and see what.
We need to rename it out the window, I think.
Out the window, out our asses. So my pet peeve is currently it changes from time to time because there's so many things in the fitness industry, quite a big industry. My biggest issue at the moment is people who aren't qualified preaching stuff to people and putting people down for their lack of knowledge if they're a beginner and preaching stuff to them as if it's gospel. I hate that. Like that's something I'm just not cool with. So for an example, I've seen a few people online. No one in
throw some names out there.
No, I'm not throwing fucking names out. Why are you trying to dob us in? I don't want any beef. But no, actually,
beef gets the views.
It's just like crap you see in the like recommended tab in Instagram in the feed. But there's just people like showing exercises like, oh, this will 100% be intense and make you have a big butt in 6 weeks. That's still a thing. And the exercises are literally someone doing a hip hinge with a band, which is maybe a 10 kilo like resistance band or something, like the equivalent or something. But great, you're hip thrusting 10 kilos. That'll definitely grow those glutes. Great. And then like other stuff like there's one, and we keep putting stuff like this in the group. It's this girl, and she's doing like adductors. So she's doing the adductor machine, but at the same time, she's shoulder pressing. Like, what are you training here? Are you trying to do motor? Like, is it for motor function? Are you trying to? It just drives me insane.
I think the logic is
if you trying to
the top, and you work the bottom part, the middle part's involved. So it's a full body exercise. You know.
Oh, it just gives me anxiety.
Yeah, it just pisses me off
Can you
because
imagine me trying to do that?
it's
Stacking the adductor machine for reps and then
50
trying to push
kilo.
50s or something. Oh my God. I wonder how well that'll go down.
Simon
I'd
would
end
kick
up in
me out of the
hospital.
gym. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a lot of these exercises, at the end of the day, how do you progress that? Do you know, like, at the end of the day, like, you can't just stick with one exercise and not change anything, different results.
Yeah.
See? Like, there has to be an increase in weight or increase in reps or whatever. Like, you can't just do that. Like, that makes no sense. Oh, it drives me insane. Right, moving on.
Talking of hip hinges, we've got a question
Where is
about
it?
hip.
Huh?
So,
No,
talking of
go.
hip hinging, we've got that question. So
You go in.
yeah, for me, hip hinging was not something I was particularly strong at when I first started training.
Okay, yeah.
It was more of a better squatter
Yeah.
than puller sort of movement. Probably biomechanics and whatnot. For me, I would say work on your hip mobility, work on your ankle mobility before you try and lift some godlike weight. I've seen it time and time again, people getting hurt, people preaching to lesser aware people that you should deadlift like this, you should deadlift like that, when I always try and get my glutes slightly below where my knees are and pull from there. It's very comfortable for me. That's in a traditional deadlift off the floor. Whereas if I'm doing a rack pull, I slightly bend the knee on the eccentric of the movement. I just find it a lot more comfortable. If you're struggling with it, I definitely look at your mobility because that's probably what's inhibiting you from moving heavier weight. And if it's not a mobility issue, stretch.
Yeah, I think that's something that gets overlooked a lot. Like, one of the big things at the moment with me in terms of hip hinging, or not just hip hinging, but progressing some things in general, it's flexibility through a joint. So one of the
As if you're adding more mass.
yeah,
It
yeah,
becomes
it's
stiffer because there's less to move.
mobility. So like something that I've always sort of like kept in is like stretching and stuff anyway to some capacity. Luckily, because I did some martial arts, I'm still surprisingly flexible through my hips, so I can like put my hands on the floor,
Yeah.
which is nice, and just bend straight over and do it, and that's fine for me. So that's nice, and that definitely counts towards my hip hinging in some capacity, because
If
for the most part, I don't struggle with hitting depth on an RDL.
no, neither do I anymore.
Like,
Just
yeah,
when I initially started, just because it's a bit of an uncomfortable movement.
yeah, it is, especially if you're not used to it. It's like anything. Like
Yeah.
if it's foreign to you,
If the issue is coming from not being able to progress the weight or the reps, look at your recovery, look at your nutrition, look at your sleep,
yeah.
things like that.
At the end of the day as well, if you've got something and it's been in rotation as an exercise you do every single week for months and months and months, and then at some point you just hit a wall, you don't progress it for like weeks and weeks and weeks, change it to a different one. Do something different. Change it to, for let's say you're doing RDLs and you stall, change it to a conventional, or start doing like rack pulls, or something of this, like just any other hip hinge movement. Just place it. But yeah, I couldn't agree more that stop like avoiding issues, because that's something that people do. That's something that I've done in the past, like especially at the moment with squatting patterns. My biggest issue with squatting is my ankle mobility, just because of my injuries that I've had in the past with my left ankle. So like it shows when I do a Smith squat, for example. Like it's only recently that I've really started trying to hammer Smith squat, because I've only just started to feel comfortable in my range of motion I can get from my left ankle. So it really comes down to multiple factors. Look at your nutrition, make sure you're in a surplus so you can actually make really good progress. with like a heavy compound like that. Make sure that your training days are lined up in a way where it's not going to be impacted. So I, for example, have my leg session. I have a leg session, then I have a push day, and then I have my pull day. So I'll do my leg training, which includes hamstring curls, obviously. I'll have my leg day. Then I have a whole day where I just don't, the only activity my legs are getting are just functioning as a human being and walking around. And then the following day, that's when I actually load up again, especially with the lower back. That's another thing. A lot of people struggle with the lower back and rounding your lumbar and everything like that. Just focus on, like, that's another thing, form.
Yeah, your form while doing exercise and maybe your posture outside the gym.
Yeah, 100%.
So just keep your chest up. And
if you're starting out, it might just be a postural thing and a weakness thing on the whole, and it's just the thing. Like, it takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. It took me over like 3 years plus to get to the stage. Like, I started at 16. I didn't compete till I was 19. It takes time.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, that goes on quite nicely to another question, doesn't it? Tips for beginners.
Yeah.
Yeah, tips for beginners. So, in terms of being a beginner, this is something that I started doing when I don't know who said it to me. I remember hearing it as a quote from someone. It might have been from like Matt Ogus, someone I followed back in the day, or Alberto Nunez, or some people that I watched, like old YouTube on fitness. A lot of the things they always said was question everything. Don't take everything as gospel. One of the biggest things you see nowadays is people getting pulled into misconceptions and assuming things are fact just because someone they follow said so. If you look at, let's say, some big fitfluencer who is just a girl who has like a great body or whatever, and she's like
influencer.
Yeah. and they're like, look, I take Bang energy drinks. I'm calling out Bang, fuck them. And they're like, yeah, I use Bang energy drinks. It contains super creatine. Creatine. It's better than normal creatine.
Okay.
This is how I look the way I do. Question.
Not
is she lying or is he lying? Probably. Check it. Fact check it. It's the same, like if I saw an exercise, like I saw someone squatting, for example, like squat sumo, because it's better and incorporates more muscles than conventional. Question it. Look at it. Why is it beneficial or is it not? And let's start looking at all the different variations and stuff there. So in nutrition, if someone's like, I do keto and I lost this much weight, yeah, he probably lose that much weight. Did he lose it from keto, or was it a caloric deficit? Was he just having his calories lower as a result because he just cut out all his carbohydrates? Like, start looking at things like that and start having like an eye for picking stuff apart, and just be really cynical. I know that sounds like odd, but that's one of my biggest things for beginners. Yourself?
Well, I'm going to link it in with another debate that a couple other people have been having, and that's, should you train to failure or should you keep some reps in the tank or whatever? For me, it depends what your goal is.
Yeah.
When I joined the gym, I looked at bodybuilders. I didn't join. Jesus Christ! Can you hear that?
Yeah. Is that the rain and the wind or whatever?
Yeah.
It's nuts, this weather.
Yeah, I didn't look at. I didn't go there to be fit and do this and do that. Just get in better shape. I knew that eventually one day I wanted to be fucking massive and I wanted to compete. So for me, I looked at what bodybuilders did, what bodybuilders were training and how they were training and what they were eating and things like that. So first of all, have a clear goal about why you're training. Why are you there? Are you there to lose some weight? Are you there because you're unhappy with the way you look? Are you there because you want to impress this girl? Are you there because you've got competitive aspirations? For me, it was always more serious than a lot of my friends. A lot of them stopped going with me because I was quite professional when I was in there.
Yeah.
Um,
You treat
so,
it as like
yeah.
you go hard. You're not there to play games after a while.
Yeah. So first of all, I'd say get a clear goal. Number one, that would be my first tip.
Yeah.
Don't fall into the traps like you've just said, and it's easy to do because they're so prevalent. They're just there all the time.
Yeah.
Don't look at the guy who's got 2 million YouTube followers,
Mm.
and he looks good, because chances are what he's doing is not applicable to you.
Yeah.
And like, don't follow routines like get a chest like Arnold. If you do this, you've got your chest, it will grow.
Yeah.
Won't have half your torso as a pec.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Yeah. Thirdly, I'd say be consistent.
Love that. Consistency is
And
key.
as bad as it sounds with all the negativity around it, I'd say film every now and then.
Yeah.
Film your sets, look at your form. Does it look right?
100%.
Does it look correct? Can you feel it? More importantly, can you feel the exercise? Do you know what an exercise is supposed to feel like? For me, one thing for some reason, nobody would believe it now, I used to have quite a difficult time connecting with my lats.
Yeah.
So prior to doing any compound-based movement,
100%. Okay.
I'd do either a rope push pull down, really driving the elbow down, pretty much no weight, just finding where my lats were.
Like an isolation exercise to warm up that muscle group. Yeah.
Just to keep the bar path consistent with where your biomechanics are. Because the way
100%.
somebody might do a barbell row is not applicable to you. Could be width, to where you're holding the bar. Someone's grip might be more central, someone's might be more wide. It's like we don't pull the same. I pull quite close, very, very close.
Yeah.
It's more comfortable for me. I feel more secure. So as a beginner, I just don't overcomplicate everything. Find out what exercises feel comfortable, not in a weight perspective, but from a mechanics perspective. So I don't flat bench, doesn't feel good. You're probably the same. It doesn't feel great for me. I don't do it. There's plenty more other ways to do an exercise. Number one, have a goal. Number two, use your brain. Number three, assess what you're doing. And number four, be consistent and track your progress.
Yeah, 100%.
That's my
a few things I want to build on that. You mentioned a lot of that was just straight off what I would have said. I would have said the exact same thing for most of those. Yeah, consistency is a huge thing. Start tracking your lifts. I think that's a thing that gets overlooked a lot now, and I didn't, and I wish I did now. I didn't track my lifts up until. Shut up. I didn't track my lifts up until I was probably realistically about 18. I didn't really tracking anything.
I always sort of knew.
Having fun, which is great. Yeah. That's a great thing to do. Fall in love with lifting and fall in love with the craft and what you're doing. This is something that my coach said to me at one point, now that he said before as well. I think he said it in like podcasts and stuff. Don't train. Let me make sure I get this right. Don't train to compete.
Yeah.
Compete
because you like to train.
Yeah. So like fall in love with the training and the process and everything else. Competing will come. That'll just come with time. And it'll all pull together in the end.
Yeah.
Like you just got to fall in love with the process. Like if I didn't fall in love with the dieting and checking in and checking myself in the mirror and like meticulously doing everything last year and trying to beat my lifts from the week before, I wouldn't have made it probably to the stage.
No.
Love it.
Well, it's like me having the last 4 months off. the plan last year in the summer was to do that mini bulk up until February, end of February, March.
Yeah.
Cut down and compete at the end of the year.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I wouldn't be as good as I was. Potentially could have been, but I could still do that this year and probably do quite well. I'm choosing not to. I don't want to, because for me, the goal is bigger than one competition now.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's not.
Yeah, man, it's a turtle race.
Yeah, I'm not gonna compete to look good so I can get a load of potential clients online.
Yeah,
And just smack it my Instagram bio.
like I've been. If you look at when my first post on Instagram was me getting an arm shot with a friend. And that's the first post on Instagram, and that was, I think I was 17 then. When I first started using Instagram. I've still got under 1,000 followers, and I've prepped. I've done this. Like, I've competed. I got more lean than, I'd say, 90% of people on Instagram who are in the fitness industry get. Just like all the fitness guys and girls, like they get beach body lean, but they haven't been close to contest
stage lean.
So like it's definitely, like for me it was never a following thing, but it is like the end goal is like, I want a career out of this if I can. That is the end goal. I want to make a career out of this, whether that's coaching or competing or members sites or
just building a business,
coaching or nutrition or whatever. Like, hopefully I'll have a ton of different streams of revenue. But it's like,
I might not be competing right now. I'm helping people with their content, helping out UK Pro Muscle podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is a big move.
Yeah.
Helping out Sam with the Barbarian Classic.
Yeah.
Promotional stuff for that. Hopefully get some more work in terms of doing the edits and stuff. Because Sam said something to me the other day. It's like, who makes the most money off the Olympia? It's not the competitor, it's the person you don't know the name of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Behind the scenes.
So if you can do both, then
yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I think we're at a point now where having clout is not enough. It was never enough to begin with, but it's even less. Like, people are picking apart bullshit more now.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up obviously watching YouTube when all these fitness YouTubers were coming up.
Jeff Side and all those kind of
guys. Yeah, and like, where are they now?
They're still popular.
They're still popular, but they haven't progressed. They haven't
progressed, and their business model hasn't progressed.
Yeah.
And they've just stagnated or it's gone down.
Yeah, 100%. Like, Jeff Side, last I checked, I think he's now got a contract with Redcon. Good for him.
Yeah.
But I guarantee he's not doing as much he's not as popular, or he doesn't have as much attention or engagement with his followers and fans
as he did in 2015 or
in 2015, and not as much now as people like Luke or Hollingshead or any of these other bodybuilders who are actually doing stuff and progressing. Seminars and all this other stuff.
Like, in that sort of camp, like the Jeff Side sort of fitness influencer, luxurious lifestyle camp.
Yeah.
That I actually do have a lot of respect for, because he trains hard and the knowledge he puts out is pretty fucking good. It's Mike Thurston.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He trains hard. He's done videos with Dorian. He's trained with professional.
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff. I think he
knows what he's talking about.
He's got great physique, and he clearly trains for it. And he's got like, he doesn't look like your typical Instagram model. He looks like he's got like a rugged look. He trains, like, you can tell he trains, which is cool. Another one that I've seen more recently, I'm in two minds about him. I think it's cool what he's doing business-wise, is Matt Does Fitness.
I don't know who that is.
Guy who's done recently, he did a video of Eddie Hall on YouTube. He's been doing a lot of like fitness related content for a very long time and started blowing up more and more recently. But he's very good at attracting viral market and like getting a lot of traction on posts and like videos and stuff. So I think he hangs around with Mike Thurston a bit.
Oh, all that kind of crowd. Yeah.
Just his business sense, his business mind. Huh?
Harrison twins and stuff like that.
Yeah, Harrison twins, I feel like they've fallen off a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, it's that same clique.
Yeah, it's that same clique. Yeah, same with what's that guy called? I don't even know. He doesn't really lift. I don't really care about him because he's not a bodybuilder. But Chet Skett, I think he's called. His Instagram. He's like a guy who lifts, but he's just covered head to toe in tattoos.
Okay, I get you.
And he's like a model basically, but like he just I haven't seen anything of him in the past like 4
That's what I mean.
years.
Like, what's happened?
Yeah, like he's just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And yeah, like look who's coming up. Look who's relevant. Look who's doing stuff now.
Cool. Being like in that realm, I suppose, because you are super popular, you get the mainstream attention.
Yeah.
But once, say you get injured, you're fucked because the whole point is what you've built on image. Whereas someone like, we'll keep it British, we'll go to James Hollinshead.
Yeah.
Consistent with what he does. People don't follow him because he's going to be Mr. Olympia. They follow him because he's passionate about what he does. Yeah. He's got good knowledge.
Yeah.
And people have invested in him as a person.
Yeah. And it's his character as well. Like the persona that he has. Not that it's a persona, but
blue
who
collar
he is.
Guy, very relatable.
Yeah. He's a funny guy, makes funny comments. He's just a London bloke. Like, yeah, he's no wonder he's popular now. No wonder he's more and more popular and blowing up. And like same with Luke as well. It's like a lot of people I imagine who follow Luke don't follow him necessarily because he's a bodybuilder. They probably
follow him because he's hilarious.
He's really funny.
Yeah.
People always say that he should do stand up. He's a drummer, like a really good drummer. He's like a cool music taste and stuff. He's really into comics and stuff like that. Like he's got so many things. Like he's not just a body, you know. So I think that is a really important thing about like branding yourself and marketing yourself.
I can know how much it's changed because Body Power 2018.
Yeah.
James was still with the A-list at the time.
Yeah.
I was listening to the Size Game. It wasn't that popular. It wasn't James Hollinshead and there wasn't Luke Sando. There was the Size Game podcast.
Yeah. Early days.
So there was no queue for James.
Yeah.
But when we bumped into each other, it wasn't at the stand. He was just having a look at the show that was going on.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my girlfriend about the Size Game podcast. And I was like, oh, hopefully I can see such and such and such and such. And they just turned around and he went, all right, son.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not just influencer up here, fan. It's person to person, which is cool, in my opinion.
It's the connection. Like,
and now those people have the cues.
Yeah. The one guy who I've been following a very long time, I don't know if I've mentioned him before, but he was one of the first people I saw, and I was like, this guy's fucking cool. And he trains hard as well. Trains really hard. He's got an interesting physique. Is Zach Ainsley.
Yeah.
Physique guy, UK guy, based out in Newcastle. But I saw his stuff on like when, you know, where you just go through YouTube and stuff, 16, just go through and you're like, motivation or training videos or whatever. I just found it, came across him. I was like, this guy's super cool. He's quite, I think he was like 19, 20 at the time. And I was 16. So I just sort of like got like 180 or whatever, like, you know, got in decent shape. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Going to my first Body Power. And I remember seeing him there, and I walked up to him. I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" Had like a 5-minute conversation with him. Bearing in mind, I think this was the first time he was there, sponsored by Gap, because he's got Gap as a sponsor. Pretty big sponsor at the time. I don't know if Rami's still sponsored by Gap.
I don't think so.
But like Rami was with Gap.
Dragon Farmer, isn't he?
Sadiq Hadzovic was with Gap.
Fucking weird girl with the eyes. He's with that Dragon Farmer's Supercalls or...
Oh, yeah. Well, what is Dragon Farmer?
I think they're
I
Well,
don't understand that
I know
brand.
they've got some legal
Yeah.
issues with. Is it? Oh shit! One of Tiger Fitness's companies.
Oh, really? With MT?
Yeah, because of branding and things like that. Apparently, they ripped them off
Interesting.
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean that I'm not surprised. The industry's huge.
Yeah,
They've sort of capitalized on the wellness trend. So majority of their athletes are girls, and almost all of them are like wellness. Like they have like the huge legs and huge, like really developed lower bodies. Anyway, coming back to it. Yeah, no, I remember bumping into him, speaking to him, like having a good, like a long chat with him, and he was like, "Yeah, man, just grow, grow, grow." And after that, I was like, "Yeah, off season, let's go." Got a bit too fat, fucking hated it, but hey, yeah, we carried on, and eventually, I actually like put on a decent amount of size. Came back the next year, I was about 210 pounds the next year. So I saw him, and he saw me, and he was like, "Oh, Jermaine, right? Jesus Christ, you fucking mutated." Because I went from being like skinny, just lean GQ model look to being just a big puffy dude, with a bit of gyno as well to go with it. Why not?
gotta love a bit of gyno.
You're not a young teen lifter if you haven't got gyno. And
give me 1 sec, I'll be back. Okay.
All right, sound. I'll carry on telling the story to the viewers since you're listening. You want to carry on being entertained. But in the end, like from that year onwards, I saw him every single Body Power, and I've seen him every single Body Power up until last year. And I'll probably end up seeing him when I go for. I'll probably go to Body Power for a day or something. But I'll probably end up seeing him this year. And every time I have a chat with him, same with in that same camp is Brad Willis, really impressive 20-year-old bodybuilder, junior champion. He's currently going for his IFBB status, but like I've had a chat with him a few times, and like it is a lot about engagement, coming back to that, and like connecting with people. And admittedly, for me personally, I'm at a point where I don't want to be a fan. I want to be an associate. I want to relate to people. I want to be involved in the industry and help people. Same as Joe's doing now, helping out with Cuba and the UK Pro Muscle Group.
If anybody does need anything doing or wants help or wants to inquire, it's just hit me up on my Instagram, and it's pretty much the sub company which will have its own real platform very soon, which is JZ Designs. Also going to be a sponsor at the Barbarian Classic. So there you go.
There you go. So like that is it. It's just getting into the industry. So like that's cool. You're now creating a business which is go promote a show. Fucking amazing. Come back to it. Like that's how we get into industry. Like right now, I'm starting to slowly work on and build up a coaching platform and a way to actually work on my craft. Because I don't, as a lot of you probably don't know, but I do study at university. I'm not just a full-time meathead. And I do strength conditioning as a degree. So I do a bachelor's in science, and like basically from the start of my journey when I was 16 years old, I knew that I wanted to be in the industry. So as soon as I hit I started A level, and I just did the subjects that were like made sense, went along with it, and then halfway through A levels, I was like, "What the fuck am I doing? I need to actually do something which is relevant to what I really love and is my passion." So I did literature, geography, like performing arts or some shit, and I'm not doing any of those subjects now at university. I flopped my sciences pretty hard, to be fair, in GCSE as well. I got C's and everything.
Yeah, I fucked my science, which was the whole reason I couldn't do physiology.
Yeah, that was it. The one thing I was good at though, the one thing I was good at sciences, which I passed with flying marks in
physics
that section, was human biology.
Oh really? Mine was physics.
Really good when it came to
biomechanics. Really weird.
Biomechanics and the heart and like how everything worked. I was into that. But
whereas
I
looking back now, I reckon I could ace the test with the bodybuilding knowledge.
Yeah, it's funny how things progress.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like for now it's just me working on my craft. Obviously, I have like a job on the side that I work, and I'm a uni student. But I now want to start creating a platform in the business and start promoting myself and start my training, giving value to people. Granted, I've got a PT qual, I'm insured, but like other than that, I'm still an undergraduate student. So I don't actually, I'm not going to say, hey guys, I'm an S&C coach and I know everything. Or I have a knowledge base which is superior to, let's say, a coach with 5 years experience. I'm not going to say that. That's why I'm getting into it now and trying to work on that and create a platform. So yeah, little rant done. What do we want to go into? Where is Tim? Is Tim home yet?
No.
Bloody hell.
Oh well. One person that I defer to, I met him at the Pure Gym that you were training at today.
Oh really?
3 years ago.
Wow.
Turns out he's an IFBB pro, and he was here for NABBLE Worlds in 2017.
Who is this?
And he's competing at the Arnold Classic here. It's Australian.
You met this guy in a Pure Gym, and now look.
Yeah.
See? Yeah. Journey. Right. What's his name?
Oh, well, no. Jake Nicolopoulos.
Wait, that's a name. But yeah, Jake Nicolopoulos.
Yep.
Shout out to him.
Turned pro at the Arnold Amateur last year.
He looks stellar, doesn't he?
Yep. He's about 5'6", 5'7".
He looks so dense.
Wow. And 6 weeks out, that's what he's looking like.
Oh wow!
So he's my dark horse for the Arnold Australia, 100%.
Yeah, we'll be keeping track of him then. Anyway, what was the question?
No, question? There was one thing I did want to touch on.
Okay.
And that was genetic potential.
Jesus.
As young bodybuilders.
Shit.
And we had a little disagreement earlier. It's the same.
Oh, well, so this is going into this. Okay, great.
So
let me give a bit of background, okay? So earlier on today, I put a picture in the group chat of Steve Laureus. He posted a picture of him hitting the front relaxed, absolutely insane front relaxed, 4 weeks out from the Arnold Classic. And she placed second in last year. So I said, this guy looks insane. And then you said, he looks the same as last year.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's the same person, but you said he looks the same?
Yeah, carry on.
Okay. And then you said that he would do so much better if he went over to open bodybuilding, and he'd probably be. Did you say he'd be Mr. Olympia, or am I misquoting you?
Eventually, I believe he would.
You think he'd be Mr. Olympia? What makes you go with that? What makes you think that?
Right. So, when I saw that front relax, the first person I thought of was 1991 Ronnie Coleman.
Okay, sure. Let's go with that.
Right. So they're both fairly tall. How tall is Steve? About 6'1"?
Yeah, he's quite tall. Yeah, around there.
Yeah, Ronnie's what, 5'11"?
Yeah.
So for me,
so he's like a slightly taller Ronnie, is what you're saying.
Yeah. You can see that he's a freak.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
To me, it's completely perspective based. No one remembers 1991 Ronnie. Everybody remembers 99 Ronnie. So sure. To me, if you got it, why not go and be the best?
I don't know.
To me,
classic, I can see it, right.
Unless you don't have the genetics to be a top 6 at the Mr. Olympia, and you're making a good amount of money off of classic physique, competitions, sponsorships, things like that. It's like, if Chris Bumstead went and competed in Open Mr. Olympia, he wouldn't place in the top 10.
I think it would be questionable where he'd place, but I do think he'd place quite high.
Okay.
I would say he'd win by any means, but I think he
To
would.
me, is too slight, and he doesn't have the potential to be that size and that dense.
That is something that I was saying earlier. I was thinking if Steve went to open, I don't know if he could keep those lines.
I think so.
That's the thing. If you look at
But he
people,
wouldn't have to keep those lines. He could blow his
but
lines
what?
out a little bit, just like Ronnie did. But when he does, it's still fucking incredible.
But don't you want like a Flex Wheeler effect where you keep all your lines like and look fucking insane?
No, because Flex never won.
Yeah, but he's still. Even Ronnie says this. He's still
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
number one. Was one of the greatest bodybuilders of all,
Yeah,
without a doubt. Even though he never won a Mr. Olympia.
yeah. But that's what I mean. If to me, I think it's inevitable that he will move up.
I'm sure he will end up moving up. I'm sure in the future, like he's a young guy's in his 20s. Like I think, there will be the trend with a lot of classic guys, like Keown. He's moved up division. George has moved up a division. Who else has moved up? What's that other guy's name who trains Golds with Sean Roden?
Oh, Stan
Stan,
DeLonghi.
yeah, Stanimal. He trains there as well.
Yeah, he's moved up, isn't
Yeah, and he's moved up. So like, there's definitely a status quo for people.
he? I think, which to me is incredible because these guys have got genetic shape and they're just going to build on that shape.
But they also, I think, the thing is with all these guys, they have these incredible shapes. They chose classic for a reason. A lot of them.
Yeah, to me though, a lot of the pros, say post 2009, these are people that are turning pro. These are people that are successful or aging a little bit. They never had those lines to begin with. Whereas you look at Kevin Livroni, he had the lines. You look at Flex, he had the lines. You look at Sean Ray, had the lines. You look at, I don't know, fucking, you can go even further back. Lee Haney had the lines, competed at 250 at 5'11". You look at just a lot of, when you look at them, these guys are filled out to the max and nothing is completely blown out of proportion. I think it would take a hell of a lot of things to go wrong for, what's his name?
For Steve to do that. An example
bad.
I'll use that I'm a bit worried about at the moment is Keown, because he's moving up to 212. His stage was a few pounds above my stage weight. He's got to try and, so what, like 186 maybe? Jumping from 186 to 212. And like at his height. That worries me that he's going to blow out his stomach and his line.
Yeah, but to me, that should be a process that takes about 3 years.
So you're saying that Steve should maximize his potential in the class, just keep progressing, and then in 10 years' time, he'll be in there.
Naturally, the guy's what, 25?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Say he's 25.
He's baby years in bodybuilding.
He can train. He's going to grow.
Yeah.
You cannot stay in a weight category for a long period of time.
Unless they keep bumping up the weight,
Which, if they do, that is fucking pointless.
Yeah, what's the point in the weight category? Agreed.
The
thing is, though, I also think that when Classic first came out, I feel like they should have, way back then, even before then, put in a weight cap for men's physique.
Yeah, the men's physique guys bigger than half the classic guys now.
Yeah, it's insane. So, and that's another thing. Like, if you look at Logan Franklin, everyone's like, "You should do classic, bro. Do classic, bro." And he's moved to classic. He's done well in shows that he competed in the last season, but he didn't qualify for the Olympia.
No.
A lot of his look didn't. I don't think he looked great. I think he just needed so much more time. So there's no, and he had some blurred lines that he lost from men's physique trying to push up. But like, I just feel like there should be weight caps in place way earlier
Yeah.
just for classic physique. Why is classic physique the only class, except for 212 actually, that has that weight cap? That's insane. I think that's insane. Like,
It's ridiculous. It's
Jeremy
me,
Bundia.
classic would be the only class that doesn't have a weight class.
Yeah, you're the smallest class.
Cedric is classic.
Yeah.
Prime Arnold couldn't compete in classic. He
Yeah,
was
too
at
big.
his biggest 6'2",
So his
240
weight cap would have been
something.
250.
Yeah, but he
If that.
was at one of the Olympias. He was like 260 pounds.
Yeah, his biggest. Yeah, it's true.
Who else? Frank Zane would be two. Would he be? He was 5'11", about 180
Yeah,
pounds or something like that.
yeah. He
So
would.
he looked skinny as shit on stage.
He stood next to. It's crazy that Frank back then was stacking up against Arnold. So I don't. I'd be really interested to see what he'd look like nowadays. So next to people, because he must have had something if he was that weight stood next to Arnold.
I think it was the first time people had actually seen real condition.
That is definitely a part in it, isn't it? That was
And then, to me,
field.
which bodybuilder in the past would be winning classic physique right now? For me, he wouldn't be able to compete because he'd be too heavy.
Yeah,
but it would be Samir Banu, 100%.
I agree. So I was literally thinking that Samir Banu every day he fits the current.
He's what, 5'7"? What was he, 195?
Yeah.
He's too heavy. You wouldn't be able to compete.
Yeah, but he had one of the greatest backs in bodybuilding. So, and some of the best posing to go with it.
Yeah, I just think it's in a funny place. The class is still in a funny place.
I think we're in a very interesting time with bodybuilding and fitness as a whole, the industry, where there's a lot of change.
I just think the next generation of open bodybuilders
will be
a hell of a lot better.
I think it's very exciting. I think what we're going to see is classic guys or guys with classic shapes, probably in 10 years plus. Like, we're just going to have loads of Cedrics, aren't we? We're just going to have loads of guys who have very classical lines, but they're just fucking huge as well.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed they'll have a good carryover in condition.
I mean, Cedric's what, 280 on stage sometimes?
Yeah, it's big.
He's not blowing his lines.
No, that's true. But he is quite tall, and he was always an open bodybuilder. He always competed in those.
It's taken him time to get there.
Yeah, how old is he now?
Late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
So it's probably early 40s. Yeah, but this is what I mean. If Steve's starting now, he's what, mid-20s, progress. Maybe doesn't compete for 3-4 years, comes back, shocks everybody, gets top 6 at Olympia. It's not out of the question. It just depends if mentally, in the current stage of bodybuilding, you can afford to take 4 years off.
I don't know if you can.
That's what I mean, and that's a negative.
Granted, I'm chatting out my ass there. Of course you can. Look at Fuad.
I know, but his career's always passed, if you get me.
But like he's now more popular, having not competed in a very long time.
Competition.
When he was competing in the Arnold at a high level next to Branch and whoever else, like.
I mean, like, as a youngster coming up, there's no example. The last example was Jay Cutler. He took 1 year out.
Yeah.
One fucking year out. 2001.
That's the pros for you.
And then moved up 9 spaces.
Yeah.
So to me, take a good 2 years, he'd be contending at the top level in the Mr. Olympia Open. Because why not? Especially for the money as well.
Yeah, it's true.
It's what, $500,000?
Yeah, if I ever get, it's at the end of the day, you got to think about the money as well. I think if I do get to, I mean, this is a big if I do get to, if I got to the Olympia, for example, I do it every opportunity I get. I wouldn't take time out. I'd try and do it every single year if possible. assuming I stay healthy.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's another thing as well. I don't think I think like you said, I think a lot of people mentally can do that. And also I don't know necessarily if people have the personality and stuff to go away from bodybuilding for an extended period of time and still make it work. Like there's people who can do that, like Antoine and Fuad, all these other people. But they're young guys as well. They've got time. They're not like, way past it or anything. So yeah, it's interesting. Where is Tim? I want to find out if he's actually coming on.
He's not.
Is he not? Does he not think he is?
No.
Come on, Timbo. Tim Stewart. Where is he?
I've been on for an hour and a half anyway.
I'm going to send him a voice note. Tim, are you home yet? This is your dad. It's past your bedtime. You had to be here for 9:30. It's a bit too late. There we go. That'll do.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else do we want to talk about while we're here?
I'll do one more and then I've got to go. So.
Okay, no worries, mate.
Fuck Tim. You can come back when.
Yeah, we this is not the only podcast we're doing by any means.
No. Yeah. What's the topic you wanted to talk about?
Ooh, I want to discuss like plans for this and guests. I think it'll just to lay out a bit of a roadmap for the viewers and also for ourselves here. So as much as possible, we're trying to upload consistently. Granted, obviously there's 3 of us, and ideally we'd have a set recording time where all 3 of us would sit together every week. However, at the moment we're in a bit of a conundrum where people are obviously changing around their schedules. It's the start of a new semester for university, for me anyway, and obviously everyone's got their own things going on. However, we're trying to figure out a correct schedule and a way of making time. Originally, I think we planned it to be like releasing every Thursday or something, which would have been nice and quite easy, but obviously it's down to schedules. At the moment, Tim has not been able to be here for the past 2 ones. Fingers crossed he'll be here for the next one. In terms of...
Otherwise, fuck off.
Fuck off, Tim. Come on, where are you? See, I think he's actually... I know. Someone sent me something from a bakery. It's definitely like some donuts or something. I love donuts. Right, go on then. So in terms of road mapping, guest stuff, so our next guest we're having on is going to be...
Matt Tofton, PCA competitor, very high-level PCA competitor.
Yeah, great bodybuilder.
Yep, currently working with one of the UK's top pros, Sasan Harasi, as well.
Oh, really? Awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's a cool one.
So he's a dark horse to look out for as well in the next 100%. Couple of years. Young guy.
Yeah.
Pushing shit the old-fashioned way. He's pushing weight up.
He looks like a hardcore Dorian style, like dungeon train kind of guy. He just looks awesome. I like his physique.
Successful gym owner as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting having him on perspective. Talk about a couple of things, including his split away from the Train by JP brand.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's not really been aired as well, so that's an exclusive, I suppose.
That'd be interesting.
I'm not really fussed. He's happy to talk about it. So
okay, cool. Yeah, so we can get in depth on business as well.
Yeah. Also, we're looking at having a female guest on.
Yes, 100%. If you guys, viewers, know or want to message us with any particular female guests, or maybe you're a female listener by chance who wants to come on yourself, let us know. I want to try and branch into not just like guy guests and being very guy centric. I want to talk about like females and like female competitors, because obviously that's a whole half of the sport. Women have more classes than men do now.
Yeah.
I think it would be stupid of us not to sort of incorporate that in and get some excellent, like amazing pros on who are girls, and like see what their approach is and how they do stuff. And because there's when it comes to women as well, a lot of respect to women competitors, because there's a lot more going on than there typically is with guys when it comes to competing. Even at a natural level, there's a lot more going on with girls. So that's definitely something we want on the future. Stay up to date with us on our social medias. So Off the Script, just search that on Instagram. We'll come up, and also on our socials, at Jermaine Sully on Instagram. Joe, your handle?
JZ_JZ.bodybuilding.
Yeah, and at TimStewartFitness. Speaking of Tim, he's just actually put in the chat, yo, just eating, have you boys done one?
Lovely.
God's sake. Right, well, Tim, you're coming on next time, mate.
Yeah, you've had it this time, mate. Sorry.
I'm sorry, but
Put that one up
next time.
Yeah. Also,
right.
as well.
Right, as per, the episode is ambling in shambles. Thank you guys for listening to three of Off the Script 2020.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll see you guys soon, next time with a guest, and hopefully Tim.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll get gear in your ass, one or the other. Right. Cheers, guys. Signing out. Bye-bye.
Peace.